Planetary Kin. Welcome to the video edition of It's About Time, where we explore the difference between natural time and artificial time. I'm your host and Cosmic Skywatcher, Randy Bruner, also known as Cosmic Hand, transmitting aligned with the divine from 19.5 on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's about time. Aloha Planetary Kin. Today we're talking about the sequence of the full moons. We talked in the galactic intervention video and we talked about the galactic beam coming in right after the last full moon. So now we're actually looking forward to what's coming up next. And to sort of preface all of this, the spring full moons are the full moons of growth. They're the opportunity to grow both in the planet and in people. So the spring full moons are the Easter full moon, the Wesak full moon, and then that's of course Aries and Taurus. Then now we have Gemini full moons. So the Easter full moon is the full moon of resurrection. The Wesak full moon is the full moon of enlightenment. Then we come to the Gemini full moon, and what we're doing with the spring full moons is actually combining the energies. So when you combine resurrection and enlightenment, what you get is goodwill. And the power of goodwill is the energy of the Gemini full moon. So here we are coming up in about a week for the next full moon. And it's actually on the 21st of May or the 20th of the spectral moon. So if we look at the 13 moon calendar, and here's a version of the 13 moon calendar done by Eden Sky, and if you'd like more on that or you'd like to get one for yourself, that's 13moon.com. Go to 13moon.com, you can order up these calendars. But if we look at it, we're in the moon of liberation. And we've been in the moon of liberation since the self-existing wizard, which was in the central column. And so we see here that the gap days that we were talking about in the other video started on the 13th of the spectral moon of liberation, and then the full moon is on the 20th of the moon of liberation. So 13 and 20 are coded into this calendar, and as you'll notice, both 13 and 20 are a Friday in this calendar. So every moon in the 13 moon calendar has a Friday the 13th. And every moon has a Friday the 20th. So 13 and 20 are highlighted in the sacred calendar to begin with, but these two are particularly important because the gap days, 10 in a row, start on the 13th, then the full moon falls on the 20th. So if there is any question in people's minds about the relevance of this calendar, you can see that it's playing out in the sky and it's playing out in the calendar as well. So that's the important thing to understand about this process. And again, the moon of liberation is the opportunity to dissolve, let go, be liberated. And so looking at this moon of goodwill in the context of that, plus with the other information that we've been sharing on our other shows, it pulls it all together to make goodwill flow out from us into the world. I mean, goodwill truly is the only way to change the world. If we can actually open ourselves up enough to care about others, to have goodwill for ourselves and all of humanity, that breaks the walls of separation. The power of goodwill breaks the walls of separation. That is really the key to moving forward into a positive future for the planet and for humanity. So again, I wanted to share that with you from the perspective of the 13 moon calendar. And also looking at the astrology of this, it's a really powerful and potent astrological chart. So what we have as the most dominant aspect of the chart is that at the time of the full moon, the moon is conjunct Mars, and the sun is conjunct Venus. So the luminaries, sun representing the masculine, moon representing the feminine, are paired with the luminaries that represent their opposites. Venus represents the goddess and is paired with the sun, or conjunct the sun. The moon represents the feminine, and Mars is paired with it. So Venus and the sun, Mars, moon, are opposite each other at the time of the full moon, at the full moon of goodwill. So this, to me, this represents the coming together of masculine and feminine on both sides of the planet. The sun, Venus comes together on one side, moon, Mars comes together on the other side. And so what we're seeing here is the power of love represented by the union of masculine and feminine. And if there was any better representation of the opportunity to make love, not war, that's it. There it is, playing out in the sky. Again, this isn't stuff we're making up. I'm just telling you this is the way the planets are in the sky. And of course, this is my interpretation of those placements, but these are actually the placements of the planets as we look to the sky. And so with these opportunities come the possibility of goodwill. The other thing to note is that they are not just conjunct, but opposites. The full moon is always opposite the sun. And so there is always an opposition at the time of the full moon. But adding these other planets in to that opposition really makes a very interesting aspect to it. Because they're opposites, and because we're talking about goodwill here, it is showing the power of love on both sides of the planet, the coming together of the masculine and feminine on both sides of the planet. But the opposition means that you need to even spread love into the opposites, spread love to the oppositions, meaning unconditional love, not just love between two people, but love between all people, acceptance of everyone, and even to the point of love your enemy, not just love your neighbors, but love your enemies as well, because that's what the opposition is about. Oppositions can represent enemies, but here we see the possibility of unconditional love flowing through this opposition and bringing the power of unconditional love into play with the goodwill. And so goodwill around the world, well, it goes a long way to creating a new world. And we're also still in this grand trine in Earth signs, and Mercury steps in to take the place of the Sun and Venus in that grand trine. But the point is, those planets have been dancing around, changing places in Taurus to keep this grand trine in play. So the grand trine is Pluto and Jupiter, and then this particular full moon, it's Mercury on the other corner of the grand trine. So Pluto is the transformer, Jupiter has already gone direct, and so the possibility of return of spirituality is already in place, and Mercury is the power to communicate it, and because it's retrograde, we get to communicate it again. We are communicating it again because of the Mercury retrograde. But you look over here at Neptune, and you see Neptune is an opposition as well. It's opposing Jupiter. So Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. The higher octave of beauty, love, and power of the goddess is represented by Neptune. And that is opposite Jupiter, which it holds in place the masculine patriarchal religion. So the higher power of the goddess is opposing that across here. But it also is in a sextile to Pluto and a sextile to Mercury. So there's a grand trine and a double sextile on both sides of that particular side of the triangle there, with the higher power of beauty, love, and power represented by Neptune. So again, while you might say these squares and these oppositions are difficult, and I'm not disputing that they are, I'm saying that there's greater possibilities than what plays out in our everyday lives. These are things that are playing out in the heavens and can be played out here on the earth. That is the point of this, and the point of the Moon of Goodwill is to do just that, to spread goodwill, to be an emissary of goodwill in your life and in the world to others. So this is what the purpose of this video is to inspire you to participate in the Moon of Goodwill by first receiving it from the sky, receiving it from the planets, and then distributing it on the earth as an emissary of goodwill. And there is more to this, because there's not one but two full moons in the sign of Gemini. The next full moon after this one will occur on the day of the summer solstice, but just less than 1 hour before the sun moves into Cancer. Now, I'll have a whole show on that later. I just wanted you to know that we've got two full moons of goodwill this time around. So let's make the best of both of them. Let's use goodwill to transform the planet into a planet of harmony, peace, love, and goodness and truth. And stay tuned, because we got more from It's About Time.